Question, what late age do you have to be a level 1 judge? I do not know about an age requirement, but what level do you have to be to get rewards? It just depends. The full art lands were given to all judges at level 1 or higher. So the winning in round, guys, number 4 of 4 Swiss rounds on the left, we got Brandon Booth. He's on Mono Black Devotion. More importantly, he's on the play on a Mull to 5. There's a turn 2 pack rat, just like he drew it up. His opponent is George Arbogast, who's playing Rabble Master Red, starting off with a turn 1 Foundry Street Denizen into a turn 2 Legion Loyalist. And correctly decides to pound in, is Brandon very unlikely to block in that situation. There's a Mutavault. There's another pack rat. Attacking in for just 2. Leaving back a Mutavault so we can turn the other pack rat into a 3-3 if we want to. This looks like a Rubble Belt Maka. And it is, in fact, so 5 damage total, knocks Brandon down to 12 this match. Speeding towards its final conclusion very quickly. Brandon down to 3 cards in hand off the mulligan. Serves in with both rats, does not activate his Mutavault. So George just goes down to 14. Brandon missing his land drop, likely on removal spells. There's a Foundry Street Denizen, going to trigger his other Foundry Street Denizen. Serves in. Makes a pack rat token. To block. I'm not sure why George attacked there. Maybe he just forgot that you could activate a pack rat. And this is almost lethal here. In fact, well, no, it's not lethal. Because we can block, but it's pretty much lethal. George is obliged to block. Start off with a scry off a Temple of Deceit. That's in there just for the scry effect. There are no blue cards in this list. So 2 pack rats, a pack rat token, and a Mutavault. Serves in with 3 3/3s. George drops down to 5. If we'd attacked with the Mutavault, George would have had to have blocked, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Of course, Brandon has borrowed this deck and doesn't play Magic all that often, so he may not know the combination or the interaction there between Mutavault and pack rat. I would think he would, though. We'll see what his hand is like here. Oh, leaving 3 mana up to activate pack rat. That's what we're doing. So George plays a couple creatures, not going to be able to crack in. Could not. Question in the chat, what deck would I be playing if I was playing? I would be playing Mono Black because I'm boring. And I would want to play the best deck. Because there's no good combo in Standard anymore. So nothing really excites me. So George reluctantly says sure, he's keeping this 6 on the play. Starts off strong with a Legion Loyalist. And there is a turn 1 Thoughtseize revealing Mutavault. Mutavault, 2 Goblin Rabble Masters, and a Rakdos Cackler. George draws a Foundry Street Denizen off the top, casts it awkwardly before combat, and serves in with his Legion Loyalist, knocking Brandon down to 16 because of the Thoughtseize. Leaving Thoughtseize in against the red decks is one of those interesting gambits where oftentimes the 2 life you have to pay to cast it is less than the damage that would be dealt by the card you take. So George stuck on 2 lands here. He's going to serve in for 3 with the now 2-1 Foundry Street Denizen and Legion Loyalist as Brandon digs for some kind of answer here. Drown in Sorrow would be particularly good. Bile Blight or any other removal spell wouldn't be too bad. Looks like he does have a Devour Flesh in hand, which he'll be able to cast this turn as he scries a card to the top with a Temple of Silence. Just passes the turn back. George draws for turn here. See a Foundry Street Denizen. It's going to trigger the other Denizen. Serve in for 5. And there's a Pharika's Cure on the Rakdos Cackler. So Brandon will take 1 damage net after gaining 2 life off Pharika's Cure and getting hit by the unblocked Denizen and Loyalist. So George continues to miss that 3rd land for his Rabble Master. There is a Firefish Striker. Trigger both Denizens, likely going to sack the Striker to the Desecration Demon. Wow, there's a huge mistake out of George. He had the opportunity to get in for 5 damage there. You're not going to win this game by not attacking. There is a Thoughtseize, an aggressive Thoughtseize. Rabble Master versus Fire Drinker Satyr. Even though we can't cast Rabble Master, it will do the most damage long term. So Brandon choosing to take care of that, leaving the 1-drop. Is interesting there because if you put George on, or if you want to gamble that George doesn't draw another land, then taking the Fire Drinker Satyr would keep those Foundry Street Denizens as 1/1s. So let's see what we got here. There's a Devour Flesh targeting George. He will sack a Denizen. Interesting here because there's a play in which Brandon can cast Devour Flesh targeting himself and gain probably 7 life off of the Desecration Demon, which might be the correct answer here. He's going to serve in here, knocking George down to 15. So some interesting lines being chosen by our players. We'll see if George has what it takes to force through the last bit of damage. We know that a Satyr's coming at a minimum. It's going to trigger his Denizen and allow up for an attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knocking Brandon down to 5 and dead on board. Remember that Mutavault hanging back there as well. So Brandon really needs to find a Grey Merchant of Asphodel here, a Drowned in Sorrow out of the sideboard. Remembering that he could be at 7 or 9 life if not for choosing to cast a couple of Thoughtseizes over the course of this game. The first one seemed fine, the second one was very aggressive. As I can now confirm that this is a deck that Brandon has borrowed off of Adam Vickers, as we see the infamous Guru Swamp currently in play. So Brandon trying to figure out a way to not die. There's a Grey Merchant, going to go up to 9, knock George down to 5. So is this going to be good enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So a creature off the top is going to be good enough. No, I stand corrected. We have a blocker here. We have a blocker here. We have to serve with everything, that's for sure. And George has the Rubber Belt Monka. Triggers the Firefish Striker, which I was neglecting. And that's going to be exactly lethal. So George, despite audibly complaining about his opener, keeps, which usually indicates that it's a 1-lander. He has a turn 1 Foundry Street Denizen. He does not draw another land. He does play a Legion Loyalist to get in for 3 here. Let's see if Brandon has a removal spell. He does not, or at least chooses not to use it, and drops down to 17. 3 mana for a Nightveil Spectre. Nightveil Spectre is pretty good. in the sense that it can block almost all of the creatures out of George's deck. Cannot be Searing Blooded effectively. At least pre-combat it can't. Attack. This is obviously telegraphing a Rubble Belt Maka. Brandon goes down to 12, choosing not to block. Sniffing that out, I think I probably would have traded it anyway. Serves in with the Night Veil, revealing a mountain, which probably should have, probably a little bit of inexperience there, just unfamiliarity with Standard. Brandon would have been best served to not have played his land previous to that. There's another Denizen triggering the first Denizen. Now we can sack the creature we just played to get in for 3 there. Not sure if that's good enough at this point. A little bit different scenario than last game. And there is a Bioblight in Brandon's hand, which pretty much should end this game, as he's going to be able to get a ton of value by getting both of those Foundry Street Denizens. That is going to be very, very good. There's really no response George can have. He's tapped out here. Can't imagine a Convoke spell is going to be any good. Trigger is passed. Brandon correctly doing that beforehand. And there is a Fire Fist Striker, which we can cast. That's hilarious. And George has seen enough. Keep the one-lander. It's not necessarily inadvisable in the red deck. A lot of times you can do a lot with just the one land, but the Bioblight basically ending the game, as George was pretty much all in on that pair of Foundry Street Denizens. Guys, thanks for watching. We got 20 minutes left in the round, but like I said, I have to take off tonight a little bit early, as I do have to go home, pack up, and hit the road tomorrow for the Columbus PTQ. I won't be playing, but I will be vending. If you are coming out to that, or if you're considering coming out to that, make sure you visit me at the Infinity for Cards booth. Buy some cards from me. You can check out our case, maybe get in some side events, or play in the main event, which I believe starts at either 9 or 10 o'clock. I think it's 9, but I would check that. Information on the Comic Town website. Guys, thanks for watching. Got up to about 250 tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. We should be back here next week. I don't have anything going on, so we will be streaming again 6:30 p.m. Eastern next week. It will be standard again. Make sure you click the follow button over there below and to the left of the video screen. You'll get an email whenever we go live. And then next week, obviously, we'll be playing out the duration of the tournament. We're going to skip the top 8 tonight because of the scheduling conflict, but next week, I promise, we'll give you as many rounds as they physically play here at the store. So, guys, thanks again for watching. Check us out on our various forms of social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. The username is ZachSellsMagic on all of those. We appreciate you watching, and appreciate it even more if you followed us on there and helped us spread the word about our stream as it turns 2 years old here in a few weeks. Had a good time doing it for you. I hope you had a good time watching tonight. So have yourself a good, safe weekend. We'll see you back here next Friday.